it's like newspaper clipping or something like that they use here. It's the same one I'm going to be talking about in the article we're going to address. So let's let them kind of talk about it first before we get to that. Where was I? I think I was here.
Like stop. Tom Papa had a woke academy,
right?
And you took these people through.
It would just be, do you like bread or not like bread?
Yeah, claiming wokeness, super slippery. What's this, Jamie?
1962 New York Times Magazine article about being woke.
Whoa, wow. This is crazy.
If you're woke, you dig it. Look, if you're woke, you dig it.
Oh.
Now, understand, there was no black people, there was no black writers at that time writing for the New York Times. So understand, even this article that you're claiming is the original, where it originates, is written by white people and their understanding of this term from black communities. So understand that. So let's listen further to Joe Rogan.
Oh my God.
That's the perfect definition right
insane.
There. If you're woke, you dig it.
That is insane.
That was my fox, man. And you were copying my taste and grit.
Wow.
Don't jump salty on me.
Whoa. Look how they talked back then. They were trying to talk people into talking in a way that made them seem more interesting. I'm going to say it the way I would say it if I lived back then. Hey, make it bigger so I can see it.
You be the guy on the left.
Jamie,
read it, but
no. Scroll so we could read what they were saying.
His comments.
Yeah.
What he's saying up top. Yeah.
Okay.
That was
my fox, man.
And you were copying my taste and grit.
And grit.
So how would you say that now?
That was my fox, man.
Maybe it's girl.
And you were copying my taste and grit. Of course, it's girl.
That was my girl. And
you gotta say it.
That's what he's saying.
No one says fox anymore.
No, that's what they said. Oh, what words would you use today?
Yeah.
Hey,
you would
dude,
say,
the fuck are you doing with my girlfriend, dickhead?
And he said, don't jump salty on me. I would say, hey, we're cool. No worries. No worries.
Like, stop being such a bitch.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. And then it'd be like, what? Someone's a bitch? And then next thing you know, people would be hitting each other. That's the darkness in all men. Who are these two gentlemen to the right and to the left?
It says Noah Webster. I think that might be like Webster's dictionary guy.
And who's the other guy? Peter what?
I can't tell.
Peter in the dictionary.
Looks a little squirrely.
Can't tell.
Peter
the letters are all blurred, right?
I love that.
But I love that. If you're woke, you dig it.
Yeah, if you're woke, you dig it. That sums it up, man. If you're woke, you dig it.
How'd you find this, Jamie? Go back to that.
I typed in it's like know your meme.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So the meme of the word woke.
Yeah.
Wow.
Stay woke.
Look at that little image though. Scroll back up so we can see it again. That's so strange. Like imagine if that was contemporary.
Yeah.
Like if that was your word. Like imagine if hipsters all of a sudden started wearing tails to their jackets.
So this is where it kind of goes off, where there's not even really talking about woke, but this article that they're zooming in on, we're gonna actually we're gonna talk about. So we're gonna go to the website. I'm sure you've heard of them, Legal Defense Fund, but there's an article under the power of language. Let me share that. Which actually uses that same picture, and it's down here. So we're gonna get to it in just a second. Same picture here. But the title of this, if you want to look it up, maybe I'll put it in the description. How woke went from black to bad. This one's written by Ishina Robinson. Oh no, the girl I know is Marshina Robinson. Okay, I was gonna say I know this person. I went to school with somebody. Okay, so let's read. Quote: "We must fight the woke in our schools. We must fight the woke in our business. We must fight the woke in our government agency." Florida Governor Ron DeSantis recently declared from the stage at a campaign event, quote again, "We never, ever surrender to woke ideology. And I'll tell you this, the state of Florida is where woke goes to die." Now, I'm going to pause there, end quote. Now read what he's saying, but using the correct use of the word woke. So, for example, the state of Florida is where woke. The state of Florida. Now let's insert the definition, the original definition. The state of Florida is where people who are awake to the corrupt system go to die. You see what's happening with the recuperation of the word? So, but this is what recuperation does, and we're going to get to I guess I will play the second thought video that kind of breaks down the definition of recuperation. So we'll play that also. But let's continue to read. His boast about Florida isn't an empty threat. His powerful pulpit at the state governors, as the state governor, DeSantis engineered and recently signed into law the Stop Woke Act, a title that precisely captures what the bill's architect aimed to do: stop people in Florida from speaking out in ways that challenge racism and other kinds of discrimination. Now, it goes into the measure, but that's not what I wanted to discuss. And we're going to get down here to the origins of the word. Because they're talking about the Stop Woke Act and all of that, and that's just not what we're talking about today. So let's go down here when they start to talk about where it comes from. So ask yourself, what exactly is the woke? Where did woke come from, and how did it become apparently worthy of gag orders instituted by politicians and administered with the might of the government? When did it transform from its roots in Black American vernacular to a supposedly all-encompassing, terrifying force emblazoned across increasingly fear-mongering headlines in the United States and even now in parts of Europe? Put simpler, how did woke go from meaning black to bad? Now this talks about the black lineage of woke, which we're going to discuss here. So, actually, okay. I'm sorry. I just remember somebody was supposed to reply to me by a certain time. Whether something. So I got the reply. All right. So let's continue here. Where is that? Sorry. I have a lot of windows open again. All right. The black lineage of woke. Quote, to be woke is to be black, is how OK Player Senior News, I'm thinking that's how you say it, and cultural reporter Elijah Watson defined the Black American colloquialism now broadly used diversively when he embarked on a journey in 2017 to plot its origin. Ironically, his research first turned up in 1962 New York Times essay, "If You're Woke, You Dig It." And this is the same article that essay now that they're referring to in New York Times that Joe Rogan was referring to. And remember what I told you. The person who wrote that wasn't from a black person. So you're taking quite likely specifically, I'm not gonna even say that. Let's not give that label. Let's not give that blanket label. So let's not give that blanket label. But let's continue with the article. So here it goes. So if you're woke, you dig it. By the then Harlem-based writer William Melvin Kelly. Now that's the person who wrote it, who was highlighting the phenomenon of Black American slang being appropriated by white people who often missed or altogether distorted the word's original meaning until the idioms were taken over, inevitably transformed, and ultimately abandoned by their original Black creators. And this has happened with many things. So if you didn't understand what he said, because I'm going to read that last part again, because it's very, very important. So Joe Rogan and his guest, it wasn't Joe Rogan, but his guest, in answering the question of woke and where is its origin, he just Googled something and figured it came up in this, on this, it came up on my white internet. So this must be the evidence that I need. Let me actually close. Actually, when I get to the video, I'll close this light. I can't stand this in my face. So I'm going to jump up and close this. So 1 second here. All right. So that's better. It's getting to where, so right now it's 3:30 here. So the sun is like right there, right directly coming through my side bedroom window. So, but sorry about that. So let's get back to what I was saying here. So William Melvin Kelly is a writer, but note to what they're saying here. So this writer, William Melvin Kelly was highlighting, okay, the phenomenon of Black American slang. So woke slang. And then white people taking it. I mean, how many things? I mean, from so many things, from bling bling and from yo, from so many things. It starts in the Black community and then it becomes part of white vernacular too. And things, I mean, people, stuff, I mean, like, for example, this is not a Black word, but the term dude in the 50s and 60s and 70s, that was a term that young Black men used, that now you would not even know that if you look at who uses the word dude now. And that's, again, that's not to say we created the word dude. I'm just saying in the use of it. And this is an example that they're giving here in this article. Not an example, but that's what they're talking about. They're speaking to how this writer of this article that Joe Rogan or his guest referred to, the person was examining how white people were now using this language, and how, now the article wasn't pointing this out, but this item that I'm reading here is pointing out how it was often missed or altogether distorted, like the understanding on purpose, or maybe it was unintentional. Now let's continue. Kelly, now this is the writer, was prophetic. Watson was prophetic. Watson tells LDF in a recent conversation, we are 6 decades and 7 culture lifetimes past when Kelly's essay was published. And as we discuss what's been done to woke in the 21st century, it's hard to disagree. The language seems to be modified. This is a quote. Seems to be modified in 2 ways, Kelly wrote in the 60s. The first is to give a word already used its opposite meaning. At one time, the connotation of jive were all good. Now they're all bad, or at least questionable. And so they give another example of how I gave. Like, it's not that we create the word yeah, it's not that the word is created, it's just the use, and then the opposite use is replaced. Opposite meaning, I should say, is replaced, which is just ridiculous. Now let's go to this part here. Michael Harriot, columnist at The Griot and author of upcoming book Black as Fuck History, The Unwashed Story of America, explains that this kind of insidious takeover and flipping of Black vernacular to anti-Black pejoratives has numerous parallels in American past and runs all the way to present day. Quote, when you look at the long arc of history and America's reaction to the request for Black liberation, every time Black people try to use a phrase or coin a phrase that symbolizes our desire for liberation, it will eventually become a cuss word to white people, Harriet says in an interview, and that is spot on. And that is what has happened to the use of the word woke. But let me continue with the article, and then we'll go to the video of recuperation. Where was I? I'm going to read this quote again because it's very, to me, powerful quote. Quote, when you look at the long arc of history and America's reaction to the request, so America's reaction to Black people saying we want to be free, every time Black people try to use a phrase or coin a phrase that symbolizes our desire for liberation, it would eventually become a cuss word to white people, Harriet says in an interview. And Black people have never been silent or at a loss for innovation when articulating demands for justice. In fact, the use of the word woke as in-group singular, urging Black people to be aware of the system that harms and otherwise put us at a disadvantage, is documented as far back as the 1920s. And this is the part about Marcus Garvey. The Jamaican philosopher Marcus Garvey exhorted members of the Black diaspora in America, Jamaica, and elsewhere to join the cause of Pan-Africanism, called on them to wake up, unquote, wake up, end quote. By 1938, the iconic American blues musician Led Belly, born Huddie Ledbetter, had recorded the song Scotchborough's Boys. The ballad tells the story of 4 Black youth who were falsely accused of raping a white woman in Scottsboro, Alabama, and subsequently convicted by an all-white jury and sentenced to death, though they were thankfully freed after several appeals and trials. In the song, Leadbelly says of Alabama, I advise, this is a quote, or in the song, I advise everybody to be a little careful when they go down there. Stay woke. Keep your eyes open, end quote. The use of the word woke continued to spread throughout all sectors of Black Americans' lives. In 1940, after finding out they were being paid less than their white counterparts, the leaders of a Black mine workers union in West Virginia that launched a strike against discriminatory pay reportedly said, according to Harriet's research, quote, we were asleep, but we will stay woke from now on, end quote. The word in this Black specific sense would continue to show up across the decade, including in Barry Beckham's 1972 play, Garvey's Lives, where one character says, quote, "I have been sleeping all my life, and now that Mr. Garvey done woke me up, I'm going to stay woke, and I'm going to help him wake up other black folks," end quote. So, having a better understanding of where this word comes from and how it was used by the people who originally used this way. It is part of our black radical tradition. So those that may push back on like why are this is part of black radical tradition, and RBN is here to reawaken the black radical tradition. So we're reclaiming this word. RBN is absolutely woke in the black radical tradition. So we must not allow our oppressors to take our vernacular, twist it, and then just, on to the next word that they twist and take.